Hey guys, Mosa here, and today I'm bringing you my Week 5 preview of the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Now, without a further ado, let's get started. Now, let's kick it off with the injuries. Now, we start off with the players who did not participate in practice. We got wide receiver D. Eskridge, who's out with a concussion, and running back Chris Carson, who's questionable with a neck injury. Now, this is going to be honestly hard for the Seattle Seahawks. If Carson cannot go, we already know Eskridge cannot go, so we have one less wide receiver. But then in the limited players, we got Darrell Taylor, ankle injury for the defensive end, wide receiver DK Metcalf with a foot injury, and Carlos Dunlap with a toe injury from last week. Now, if this is honestly more of questionable players, I believe that Darrell Taylor will most likely play, DK will most likely play, and out of those three, the most likely to be out is Carlos Dunlap. But hopefully all three of them are able to suit up for today. Then we go to full participation for Penny Hart with a knee injury, Jamarco Jones, who had an illness, and Brandon Shell with an ankle injury, both offensive linemen, safety Jamal Adams, who had an ankle injury, linebacker Benson Mayowa, who's listed as questionable with a neck injury. Then Cody Barton with rib injuries. And safety Marquise Blair with a knee injury. Now this tells me that, honestly, we're going to be seeing majority of these players who are fully participating in practice. So hopefully we'll be able to see Penny Hart. Brandon Shell will be back. Jamal Adams is going to be there. Benson's most likely going to play. Cody's also most likely going to play. And so is Marquise. But we can't rule out the possibility that they will be pulled out at the final second. Now, on to the Los Angeles Rams, who limited players because they didn't have any of their players listed as questionable, out, or even not probable. But these are the guys who have been limited in practice by the Los Angeles Rams. Running back Darrell Henderson Jr. with rib injuries, who did not play last week. Taylor Rapp with an ankle injury. Tyler Higbee with an ankle injury, and tight end Johnny Munt with a shoulder injury. Now, Darrell is most likely not going to play for this game. I think he won't, but he might. There is a chance. Although Taylor Rapp, Tyler Higbee, and Johnny Munt will most likely be able to play this game, I think that the most serious injury is the rib injuries of Darrell Henderson. That's why he didn't play last week. But there is a chance he might play against Seattle. And if he does, Seattle's really going to have a hard time on defense. Now, with the starting offense of the Seattle Seahawks, of course, Russell Wilson, starting quarterback. If he can play, Chris Carson will be the starter with Alex Collins as his backup. Nick Bellor will be the fullback. Wide receivers, if he can play, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett will be the main two wide receivers, with Freddie Swain and Penny Hart as the fourth and third string wide receiver. Now the tight end will be Will Dissly, and Kobe Parkinson will be his backup. The offensive line, if healthy, Dwayne Brown, Damian Lewis, Kyle Fuller, Gabe Jackson, and Brandon Shell will be the starting offensive line for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, one troubling thing is that the Seattle Seahawks have backups like Jamarco Jones playing three different positions. For example, they got Jamarco Jones as the backup for left tackle, left guard, and right guard. Then we got Cedric Ogbuehi as the right tackle backup, Jake Curhan as the third string tackle, along with Stone Forsythe, who was our third, I don't even remember. I think he was our last pick in the draft this year. Then we got Dakota Sheepley as our backup center. Now, this troubles me mostly because why don't we have more offensive line? Why does Jamarco Jones have to be the backup for almost every position? That is not good. I believe you should at least let him be a guard. Let him be a backup guard. And Stone Forsythe, give him a chance to be a backup for Dwayne Brown. Or you can put Jay Curhan in that position too. Or Cedric Ogbuehi. But the more offensive line we don't have is bad for us because we won't be able to run the football properly, and Russell Wilson will be sacked every other day. But in all anyways, regardless of all that, I believe the Seattle Seahawks will still have a ginormous chance in staying in this game, as I believe that Seattle has I believe that Seattle has no chance of winning this on defense. Now on defense, the most likely starting lineup will be the defensive ends being Rasheem Green and Kerry Hyder. Carlos Dunlap might not be the first string due to his injury, but still he's there as a backup along with Robert Nkemdiche. At nose and defensive tackle, we got Poona Ford and Al Woods. Brian Moan will be their backup. Honestly, that is troubling, just like the offensive line, that we don't have that many defensive tackles. I think Robert Nkemdiche can also play defensive tackle at the same time, but I still prefer to have enough players for each position. Then we go to linebacker. At the outside linebackers, we got Benson Mayowa and Jordan Brooks. If Benson cannot go, Darrell Taylor or Cody Barton will take his place. While at middle linebacker, we have Bobby Wagner. Behind them, we got Nick Bellor and John Rattigan. Now, honestly, Rattigan will be the most likely option to use at middle linebacker if anything were to happen to Wagner. But Nick Bellor hasn't been doing too bad at the job on defense. And honestly, I trust him on the defensive side just as much as I honestly trust him on the fullback position he actually plays. Then we go to defensive backs, starting off with the cornerbacks, Sidney Jones IV and DJ Reed. Now, Trey Flowers and John Reed will be their backups. While honestly, I think that this is gonna be a horrific game. Honestly, if I were Seattle, I would have immediately traded or picked up the cornerback that just got traded by the New England Patriots, Stephon Gilmore, who legit just got traded for a 6th round pick. Honestly, I think Seattle could have done something like that, got the former Defensive Player of the Year on this team, and honestly, that would help a lot on the defensive back side of this Seahawks team, because that's the thing Seattle has problems with. It's always the defensive backs, and that's gonna hurt us a lot. And strong safety, we got Jamal Adams. Ryan Neal will be his backup, while Quandre Diggs, who had an incredible interception against the 49ers, will be backed up by Marquise Blair, as he will be the starting free safety. Now, on defense, as I stated, Seattle, I don't like their defense. I feel like this defense is going to allow too many points. This Los Angeles team has been able to defeat many teams in the past. Unfortunately, their winning streak came to an end as they lost to the Cardinals last week. But they were the team that defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers led by Tom Brady. Are you kidding me? They beat Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But, of course, that's in the past. But that's also something we have to worry about. Because if they're able to beat a team like that and honestly keep up with the Cardinals, I think that the Los Angeles Rams will give us very much a lot of trouble on both offense and defense. Now, for the starting offense of the Los Angeles Rams, we all know Matthew Stafford is the quarterback and John Wolford is his backup. Darrell Henderson Jr., Xavier Jones, and Jake Funk. Those are the running backs Seattle has to worry about this week. And honestly, Darrell Henderson is the lethal running back out of all of them. And honestly, I think if he plays, Seattle's going to have a very tough time defending against him. Although, I do believe it's not impossible. Then we go to the wide receivers, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. At slot receiver as well, they are going with either Deshaun Jackson or Van Jefferson. Now, they also got receivers like Tutu Atwell and Ben Shorank. I think that's how you say this name. But regardless, they got these incredible wide receivers, especially Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. Then they got Tyler Higbee. If he plays, he'll be backed up by Johnny Munt. And if he doesn't play, Bryson Hopkins is there along with Jacob Harris. But then they're starting offensive tackles, which is going to be Andrew Whitworth and Rob Havenstein. These two are some tough offensive tackles in the league, in my opinion. Honestly, Seattle's going to have a tough time against these guys because these two are just very good offensive tackles. In the interior offensive line, you got David Edwards and Austin Colbert as the guards and Brian Allen as the center. Now, just like Seattle, they got players basically backing up multiple positions. But honestly, I think the Los Angeles Rams starting offensive line is going to be healthy enough to honestly give Matthew Stafford enough time to throw the football and Darrell Henderson and all the other running backs enough time to run the football. Now, on to the defense of the Los Angeles Rams. And starting it off with the defensive line, we got the defensive ends being Sean Robinson and Aaron Donald. They're going to most likely go 3 defensive linemen. At nose tackle, they got Sebastian Joseph Day. They got a lot of good defensive tackles to honestly replace him if need be. Greg Gaines and Bobby Brown being 2 of them. Joanne Williams and Michael Hodge will be the backups to Aaron Donald and Sean Robinson. This is going to be a killer defensive line for the Los Angeles Rams against the Seattle offensive line, because that's just going to be a tough matchup. You're going to have to probably triple team Aaron Donald. Like the last week, I believe the Arizona Cardinals had him triple teamed, or I would think it was Cleveland or something. Some team had him like double, triple teamed, and that's how you stop him, because the dude is just consistently good. And honestly, that offensive line is going to have a lot of trouble against this Rams D-line. At linebackers, we got Justin Hollins and Leonard Floyd as the outside linebackers. At Mike linebacker, we got Kenny Young and Troy Reeder, which honestly, it's an alright linebacking core. I don't see that much, I think Leonard Floyd and Kenny Young are 2 good linebackers, but it's not really for show, something really worth speaking of. Then we get the cornerback, Darius Williams and Jalen Ramsey. We all know Ramsey is the star of defensive backs, because honestly, Ramsey's going to be the one most likely locked up with either Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf. And if he's able to shut either of them down, well, if the other one is shut down by Darius Williams, then that is it for Seattle. No pass game, and we're going to just have to run the football. And it's just going to be a killer, because Aaron Donald's probably just going to get the running back or even sack Russell Wilson multiple times if we're forced to run only or majority of the game. At safeties, we got Taylor Rapp at free safety and Jordan Fuller at strong safety. Now, I don't really see these safeties as much of an effort against this Seattle offense, but the cornerbacks is going to be the deadliest part of that defensive backfield, because honestly, I see the free safety and the strong safety as being mostly to help out Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams, because they're just too good. Jalen is just too good. Darius Williams, he's all right. But if they're able to lock down both those receivers of the Seattle Seahawks, then it is over. Now tonight we got something special, because the Seattle Seahawks will most likely win this game, in my opinion, 26-24 against the Los Angeles Rams. I think that the Seahawks offense is going to push the Rams to the limit, and I think that Seattle's going to squeeze out a last-minute win in the fourth quarter, because that's how Seattle's going to win, because this defense is going to allow too many points, as I stated before. They didn't in the first quarter of the last game, but they did in the second quarter. But they did in the second half. And honestly, that is going to be troubling for Seattle, that defense. But if the offense does their job, I think Seattle will be the most likely victors tonight on Thursday Night Football. Now, that was it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Tweet me any video ideas. Also, tell me down in the comments below, who do you think's going to win? Los Angeles or Seattle? Who's going to be the better quarterback? Matthew Stafford or Russell Wilson? Who's going to be the best defense? The Rams or the Seahawks? Tell me down in the comments below. Now, like this video if you liked it. Subscribe and hit the notification if you want more videos. And I'll see you guys next time.